The hip thrust is getting a lot of attention these days as one of the all-around best booty building exercises, but some people may not be doing it safely. At the same time, others might want to take it to the next level for a greater challenge. In either case, the B stance hip thrust is a good alternative exercise that works the glutes hard, one side at a time. I'm Eric Leha, an Onnit certified coach and fitness expert, and I'm going to go over everything you need to know about the B stance hip thrust. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you get notified about similar content. The B stance hip thrust is sometimes called the kickstand or a staggered stance hip thrust because you use only one leg for balance while the other one gets the work done. Most people start with a bilateral hip thrust, bilateral meaning on 2 feet in line to work both glutes at the same time. Later, they progress to single leg hip thrust, which has you holding one leg up in the air while you thrust with the other one. The problem is, going from 2-legged hip thrust to single leg hip thrust is too big of a leap for most people. It can be very hard to stabilize your hips and avoid twisting to one side when you're doing true single leg hip thrust. And many people find that even their body weight alone is too difficult to control. That's where the B stance hip thrust comes in. It's a nice intermediate exercise that's more challenging than the basic 2-legged hip thrust, but more stable than the single leg hip thrust. So you can work one side at a time and build your balance without having to work too hard to keep your body aligned on the bench. In addition, because it's a unilateral exercise, it allows you to isolate one glute at a time, which helps you correct any imbalances you might have between sides. Also, focusing on one muscle at a time recruits more muscle in that area, which can help you add muscle size more easily. So if you want a big, round, juicy butt, the single leg hip thrust is a very good exercise choice. Lastly, if you have lower back pain and you find that 2-legged hip thrust hurt to perform, maybe because you hyperextend your back at the top of the movement, you may find that the B stance hip thrust is more comfortable to do because you're essentially working one leg at a time. You can't thrust as hard or as high, so it's harder to overextend your range of motion. The B stance hip thrust keeps the force where you want it, in your glutes and out of your lower back. How to do a B stance hip thrust. Step 1, secure a bench against a wall or rack so it doesn't slide. You can also weigh it down with heavy dumbbells. Lie back on the bench, perpendicular to its length, so that the edge of the bench supports your body right under your shoulder blades. If you've tried hip thrusts in the past and felt them too much in your lower back, you can try sliding your body up a little bit higher so the bench supports your mid back, rather than the bottom of your shoulder blades. Now, extend your hips to get into the top position of the double leg hip thrust so your shoulders, hips, and knees are aligned. Adjust your feet so that they're directly below your knees. Now, when you lower your hips down, your stance should be set so that you can thrust with the greatest range of motion and good form. Feel free to play around with your foot position, angle, and spacing a little more, and do a few practice reps until you find a setup that's the most comfortable and lets you feel your glutes working more than any other muscle. This will be your normal bilateral hip thrust setup. Step 2, now you'll transition from the bilateral hip thrust to the B stance. Extend one leg forward so the heel lines up with the toes on the planted foot. This partially extended leg is called your kickstand leg. Keep the toes on your kickstand leg elevated so that the weight of your leg is resting on the heel. Step 3, tuck your chin to your chest and make fists with each hand, driving the back of your arms into the bench for stability. Tuck your tailbone under and brace your core. Now, drive through the foot of your planted leg to extend your hips until they're locked out and parallel to the floor. Push both knees out a bit as you extend your hips and keep your ribs pulled down so you don't bend at the spine. Your shoulders, hips, and knees should form a straight line in the top position. Note that the kickstand leg should only apply about 30% of the force. Most of the work should be done by the leg that's closest to your body. Remember, the kickstand leg is only supposed to provide some stability, so make your other leg's glutes do the majority of the work. Use your body weight alone until you've mastered the B stance hip thrust technique. But when you think you've got it down, you can add a barbell to your lap for resistance, just as you do with a normal two-legged hip thrust. What muscles do the B stance hip thrusts work? The B stance hip thrust really works the gluteus maximus, which is your main butt cheek muscle, responsible for extending your hips. But it also trains the gluteus medius, which is on the side of your butt cheek, and the glute minimus, which lies under the glute medius. Both the medius and the minimus work to stabilize the pelvis, so they will get trained by any variation of the hip thrust too. When you think you've got the B stance hip thrust down, you can move up to the single leg hip thrust, where you raise one leg in the air and work the other one without any support. Step 1. Set up as you did for the B stance hip thrust, but raise one leg off the floor entirely and bend that knee, bringing it towards your chest. Step 2, push your working foot into the floor and raise your hips until they're roughly in line with your working knee and your shoulders. Single leg glute bridge. If you want to isolate the glutes a little bit more, you can do a single leg hip thrust motion on the floor without a bench. That will decrease the range of motion some, but it would ensure that only your glutes do the work to move your hips. Luckily, we have a whole video tutorial on how to do the single leg glute bridge if you click here. Sometimes you don't feel focused and alert in the gym, and your workout can suffer as a result. New Alpha Brain pre-workout was designed specifically for athletes, gym goers, and supports focus, power, and endurance. It's the ultimate way to charge up your mind and body. Use the coupon code GETONNIT to get 10% off Alpha Brain pre-workout at onnit.com. Now, let's get back to the video. These are 3 of my go-to warm-up drills before a hip thrust session or any lower body session. First off, I like to warm up the hips, make sure I get them talking before I get moving and grooving. So I like to do some pelvic hip circles, get those hips rotate, one hip up, and then I squeeze the glutes, drive the hips forward, and then I lift up on the opposite side. I tuck that tailbone up and back, up, back around, full circles, nice and smooth. Get those hips feeling juicy. I'll go 3 to 5 circles one direction. That feels good. If you want to keep going, go for more, but I keep it short and sweet. And then I switch directions, get those hips nice and mobile. I'll go there, 3 to 5 circles each direction. Once I get those moving, I'll work a little staggered stance position. All right, that way I can really isolate. Since today we're focusing on our B stance hip thrust, we're gonna go unilateral. That means I'm gonna stagger that stance. All right, rear foot, toes, big toe in line with that back heel. I'm still on my train tracks, and then from here, I'm gonna keep a nice proud chest. I'm gonna hinge at the hips, focusing on putting all that weight on that front leg. I stretch the hamstrings, load the glutes, and then I get nice and tall. I'll go 5 to 10 reps here, nice and slow. I can even pause at the bottom, feel that tension, really light up those hamstrings, and then get tall. I'll go 5 to 10 reps, both sides. Boom, nice and easy. I'll shake it out. I'll do the hip circles. I'll do the stagger stance hinges. Then I'll finish it up by lighting up my nervous system with some hinge jumps. That way I really get everything fired off and going. I'll come back into my bilateral stance, feet in line. I'll hinge at the hips, arms in line with the spine, high hips. All right, so try to do less bending at the knees, more at the hips. Light up the hamstrings, jump, land with soft knees, and reset. I want you to really explode, jump as high as you can. I'll do those 3 drills for anywhere from 2 to 4 sets. If you're feeling good after 2 sets, get to work. If you need a couple more sets, then go for it. 2 to 4 sets, we'll go 3 to 5 circles on the hip circles each direction. Then I'll go 5 to 10 stagger stance hinges, lighting up the hamstrings, and then 3 to 5 explosive hinge jumps. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, click the link in the description for a full article guide to the B stance hip thrust.